goes through to your head.
Hello, I'm Erica. I'm here with Yebo at Crunchy Frog. He's the founder of Crunchy Frog, which is a record label. And welcome, Yebo. Can you tell me how you started Crunchy Frog?
We started out as a band in 1994. We only liked one Danish record label at that point, so we tried to send our music to English labels. And we got some encouragement, but no deal. So we had the chance to start our own label, got a distribution deal, and so we basically started out releasing our own record. And that went rather well. So we did a repressing, and we had good reviews, and you know, we made another one, and that went well as well. And then we started releasing like-minded bands from Copenhagen noise rock scene, on doing 50-50 deals. Everybody pinched in 50% of the costs, and when we had a profit, we shared it 50-50. So that's how we started back in the day. So
the industry has been changing a lot lately, and how are you keeping up with this?
I guess we just. I mean, industry has changed quite a bit. I think it's an interesting time, and it's a time where companies such as ourselves, like small, mid-sized labels, actually have a chance of doing better than the majors. And we always signed music that wasn't really intended for the Danish market primarily. You know, we always had difficulties selling CDs, and especially in Denmark. And so when CD sales went down, it didn't really affect us that much. And we already had our minds and our sights set on international stuff, and you know, I mean international markets, and you know, as digital distribution is kind of, you know, global and quick, you know, that's a big plus for us, because, you know, we tend to release niche music, has a small audience, but when you think about it globally, it, you know, it can be a, you know, substantial sales. So that's one thing, and the other thing is we always, I guess, because of the same thing that we're doing mostly niche stuff with, that's kind of got some edges. At some point we just found out, we started getting requests for synchronizations, as it's called, when you put music in films or ads and stuff like that. So that's kind of an area that we've been nurturing for many years, before a lot of other labels, and everybody's doing it now because of necessity, because there's actually a lot of money to be made. But so we've been building that network for a long time. So.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Snake and the Jet and the Bullet band?
Yeah, it's called Snake and Jet's Amazing Bullet Band. Yeah, pretty crazy name, but it's a two-piece band, and I think they're interesting as an example of what we were talking about earlier. It's not a band that's hugely successful as a CD selling artist, neither in Denmark or internationally. They're fairly successful as a touring band, but again, it's really for a niche audience. But it's just, they make some music that is also almost instrumental, so it's very bad for radio, but it's perfect for movies and for you know, synchronizations. And we've done several Hollywood movies, a lot of ads, like for Jampa Juice for the US, and we just did a very big Honda car commercial in North America, which is actually the biggest one we've ever done. So that's a good example of, you know, the way our, you know, I mean, that's more, maybe it's more luck than good sense that we've always been signing bands we thought had something original to offer that we really like, and then we've tried to find a way to monetize it, or to see whatever outlet we can get it out. And internet is great with both as an income stream, but also as a promotional tool. And then synchronizations, it's something that usually was considered a secondary income, but for us it's totally a primary income. So we have the luxury, we can keep signing bands that we just think are interesting and good bands and unique, and that pays off sometimes. It's not always, but in case of Snake and Jets and POWERSOLO and the Tremolo Beer God, my own band, and also a band called Oliver North Boy Choir, which was a band that refused to tour and refused to make actual CDs and vinyls. It was just digital. Also done a lot of synchronizations with those guys. So these names that I'm mentioning is probably a lot of people wouldn't know them at all, But in our world, it's still a success, both artistically and commercially.
Sensation! 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 Sensation!
Yebo, can you tell me about this band called POWERSOLO? Who are they?
Two very skinny brothers from Jylland. Originally, they come from what they say is Kronjylland. It's between Aarhus and Randers. Two brothers, the Rail Thin Brothers, as they're called. They play right now. They play as a six-piece band, but they've been playing. Actually, started out as a solo project for the lead singer. That's why it's called POWERSOLO. It's kind of a very unique band. I don't know. They're very influenced by Americana, rootsy stuff, but also very experimental stuff like Ween. So there really are no limits to what they're doing and what they have been doing. They sing in, they speak fluent French. They both grew up. Some of their childhood was in Tunisia, so they speak Arab and French and Arab French, and that influences their lyrics. Some of their stuff is in French, so they actually have a really nice career in France. It's an absolutely splendid live band, especially the lead singer Kim Kix is an insane performer. Always, shaking everything up and going into the audience or doing unexpected stuff. And it's also a very hardworking band. They tour all the time, and actually we just found out that it's actually the band that's released the most records for us. So it's kind of a central band for us, and also one of those bands that it's a great live band and they make great records, and some of it actually, against all odds, has been radio hits here in Denmark. But it's also one of those. There's so many quirks to the stuff they're doing that it works really well also as for movies and stuff like that. So it's also one of our synchronization successes. But in general, I think if anybody gets a chance to see POWERSOLO perform live, go grab it, because even if you don't like the music, you're still gonna enjoy the show.
And when you started this label, is there a story behind the name Crunchy Frog? How did you come up with that name?
Yeah, well, when you start anything like a band or a label, you have to find a name, and everything sounds stupid. And in the end, we just said, what do we all like, And we're all Monty Python fans, and that's a reference to a sketch by Monty Python. A guy called I can't remember, Milton, I think. Anyways, he's got this chocolate company. It's called the Wizzo Chocolate Company, and the guy from the police comes and want to arrest him because they found out in their assortment of chocolates there's one called Crunchy Frog, and they say it's a real frog in there. And he said, of course. Well, otherwise we would be lying to our customers. And they said, so you don't even take the bones out? And he said, yeah, if we took the bones out, it wouldn't be crunchy, would it? And that's actually a little motto for Crunchy Frog, that if we took the bones out, it would be crunchy. So I think for some reason we thought, there's some metaphorical good stuff in there, but it's fairly silly and you know, I mean, it's kind of a little bit arbitrary. But when we started releasing records, I mean, it gives some meaning to the name, and the logo is really kind of stupid. We just kind of grew into it, you know. We just started actually a touring agency, a booking agency, and we're like, again, oh, what should we call it? What should we call it? It ended up being called Bobcat Agency. And, you know, again, we've been going actually just for a couple of weeks with this new company, and already we're doing a lot of stuff. And now it just seems natural, it's called Bobcat. But when we're sitting around a table for hours and hours, everything sounded really stupid, you know. So that's the story behind Crunchy Frog. And
I keep on thinking, why can't you do it? Can you do it? Can you do it? Do it now. Can you do it? Can you do it? Do it now. Need your body and your soul.
You also have a band called The Attacks, and who are they?
it's a fairly new band, young guys coming from the Aalborg region of Denmark, and we discovered them. I mean, they discovered us, or they started knocking on our door, I guess 3 years ago. They were really, really young, and they sounded a lot like the Sonics, which is one of my all-time favorite bands. And it's not one of those old bands that a lot of bands sound like. You know, it's certainly a very influential band, but most bands would always go for to sound like the Rolling Stones or something like that. If you're a retro-minded band. But these kids just really have everything it takes as a live band, and they make great music. They're great characters, very sweet guys, but also good-looking young guys. I mean, for us, the first time I saw them play live, they were still they used to be a very mod, a mod band, but they just looked totally right. I was there with a friend of mine who's also doing artwork, and we just looked at them and was like, this must be how it was in the 60s, going to a show. They just looked totally right, and they just kicked ass live. Big magazines like Mojo magazine in the UK and Rolling Stone magazine in the US has been raving about them. So I think it's a band that has a really great future.
And how do you see the future for Crunchy Frog? How does it look like?
I don't know. I've gotten this question a bunch of times, and I don't really have any designs or any crystal ball. But I guess so far we've been lucky enough to be able to kind of create a little area, like a little corner in the music business where we think it's nice to be, and we can do stuff that we love.
Thank you.